Okay, so this is your number 2. I'm going to be writing my formula while you see if you can choose the u and the dv. Okay, so what do you think is the more complicated portion of this? Yeah, good. The sine of x dx. So if I'll say dv is going to be sine of x dx, then the u is just going to be x. All right, so let's determine all of our other information we'll need to know. What's the derivative of u? Just 1. So you could either say just dx or put a 1 dx. What would be v? So it means take the integral of this. V would be the integral of sine x dx, which is negative cosine x, of course, plus a constant, but we said we're going to deal with this at the end. All right, I have collected my background information. That's u dv denoted. Now let's go ahead and plug this part in. So I'm going to say u is going to be x. V is negative cosine of x minus, now v again, negative cosine of x. And then du, which is 1 dx. Okay, we're just ready to simplify at this point. So negative x, if I bring the negative 1 out front, negative x cosine of x. What is the antiderivative of negative cosine of x? Negative, this would be sine of x and you would have negative, so then minus, so you would have plus sine of x. And then we remember our plus a constant. Alright, now let's use our table and just check this and see how this works in the table. So let's see, u dv, so what's our u? We said was x, and what was dv? Sine x. Alright, on the left column we're taking the derivative, so over here we'll just keep taking the derivative. What's the derivative of x? Just 1, and then of course I can say, what's the integral of sine of x? Negative cosine of x. Okay, derivative of 1 is just, actually let me do that in red just to be consistent, 0. And then what is the integral of negative cosine of x? Negative sine of x. Alright, now here we go. Alright, we said we would multiply here, because that's our uv. So that's, let me draw a line, I don't want them to look like on the notes. X times negative cosine of x. Alright, and those two are positive, and then I would do these two, but so that's positive. I'm going to put a circle around it, and this is negative. So what happens when you get 1 times the negative sine of x, but I have that negative there? Positive. You can write that out if you need to. So plus sine of x. And then we have plus a constant. Now if we wanted to just pull that negative out front, you can see that this checks out. Okay, here's our next example. I'm going to be writing the formula while you work on determining your u and dv. Okay, just a side note, I threw this up here to share. Sometimes this helps you and sometimes not. So first of all, I like to use a presentation of choose your dv to be the most difficult expression, which technically would be in the reverse order. Okay, but ETAIL isn't an easy thing to remember. The suggestion is that LIATE is a little bit better to work with for most people. So this is choosing the U's to come first in the list. So basically, this is in respect to you. When we talk about it in class, I like to work with DV, which is the more difficult. So our dv would be choose the exponential for dv, then choose a trig function, then choose algebraic, then inverse, then logarithmic function. So take it for what it's worth. Use it if it's helpful to you, and if not, scratch it. Okay, so choosing our u, we have x squared. Our dv as the more complicated e to the 2x dx. Okay, and then our du we calculate, and then we integrate this to get our v, and we have our information to start. So over here in blue, I hope I have enough room, we'll have uv, so let's do that. So u is just going to be our x squared, our v is our 1/2 e to the 2x, minus v is 1/2 e to the 2x again, and du is going to be 2x dx. Okay, so just carry this left term down. We usually work with our right term to simplify it a little bit. If I pull this out here, move the 2x to the front, and let's say if I just rewrite this, I switch the order, 2/2, and then I have 1/2 e to the 2x. Let me see, dx. So just kind of change the order. What happens over here? It ends up being an algebraic term times an exponential again. So what do we have to do for this one? Integration by parts again. So really just for this portion of it, we'll have to determine a u and dv again. So we'll let this be u and the more complicated one be dv. So let's come over here and do this again. So if I was to, u is equal to 2x, and the dv is equal to 1/2 e to the 2x dx. So what's the derivative of u here? 2 dx, good. And what would be the integral of this? If we take the integral of that, we would just have, good, 1/4 e to the 2x. Okay, of course, plus a constant when we put v equals. Okay. Let me see if I could get as much room as possible. So let's just keep carrying down this left-hand side until we're ready to work with it. So we will have our u times our v. So u times our v, so we'll multiply those two together. Okay. Okay, and make sure you put that parenthesis because this negative goes to this whole thing. All right, so we should be good there. Let's take our next step to simplify. Okay, I'm just carrying this one down, and for this term I have my negative. This 1/4 and this 2 simplifies to 1/2 x e to the 2x. Negative times a negative is a positive. Now, if I was willing to move this 2 and this 1/4 out front as a constant, what's that going to simplify to? Just that 1/2, right? But then when I take the antiderivative of this, what do I get? E to the 2x, and then I have a 1/2 from that. So just to show that extra step in there, we're just going to simplify this next term, and then we should be done. Okay, so just bringing this down, and this could be 1/2 x squared e to the 2x. That doesn't really matter. Minus 1/2 x e to the 2x plus 1/4 e to the 2x plus a constant. We're not going to worry about taking a GCF out at this point. We're just going to leave this here. Now let's check this same problem in our table form on the next page. So go ahead and set that up and see if you can do it. Okay, just setting it up, your x squared and your dv. Now differentiate this side to 0 and then integrate this side. Okay, so taking the derivative all the way to 0 over here, um, taking the antiderivative over here. Now let's go ahead and write this down. So we're going to do x squared times 1/2 e to the 2x, and this one's plus. Okay, then we're going to have this next, and it's going to be minus. So then we'll have minus 2x times 1/4 e to the 2x, right? And then we go again. That one's plus. Remember, we're going to alternate there. So plus 2 times 1/8 e to the 2x. Now, well, let's just simplify this. This term stays the same. Here, what's 2 times 1/4 simplifies to be just minus 1/2 x e to the 2x. And what about 2 times 1/8? Plus 1/4 e to the 2x plus a constant. And that's what we got here. So check.